All right, so this is Nancy at Stippling and Painting Hampden, and we're going to paint this cute little painting called Blustery Snowman. I've got my beverage of choice tonight. It's a cold, I was going to say December day, but no, it's January 1st, 2021. Cheers. Dink. Cheers. So the first thing we're going to do, of course, is we're going to cover our canvas with some water on a big brush, with a big brush. And we're doing that because Denver is very dry, and this keeps our acrylic paints from drying out too quickly. Acrylic paints are made out of water. They're water-based paints. When they dry, they're not water soluble though, but while they're wet, they are. And they're basically made out of water and pigment and glue as a binder, some kind of a binder, and plastic. That's what the acrylic is. So if we keep our paints thin, relatively thin, and our canvas, somewhat dry when we start, then our paint won't dry out too quickly. I have a 16 by 20 canvas. Yours is probably smaller than that. And I also have some variety of brushes. I'm going to use just 3 brushes, a small, medium, and large. My medium and large are flat. My small is round, but if you have anything like that, you'll be fine. And we use a bigger canvas than we sell in our kits because we want you to be able to see it. And therefore, our brushes have to be a little bigger too. We're going to be using primary paints today, blue, red, and yellow. I only need a tiny bit of yellow just to mix his little holly in his hat, and a little bit of red. And then mostly we're going to use blue and white and a little black. So, all right. So this painting is, I love this painting. It's very simple. Simple does not necessarily mean easy, but it is fun to paint. So the thing to remember is don't get caught up in it looking exactly like the original. Because when we painted a copy of this one, we always paint 2 when we paint a new painting. The swirls were different. And so as long as you think about where you want to put swirls, but don't necessarily match what I'm doing in here, then you'll be fine. It's just when you're trying to make it exactly the same, it'll just frustrate you. So we're just going to paint these curly cues, and we're going to put them wherever we think there's a good space for it. And depending on how big you put yours or just personal preference, you can start them or stop them wherever you want, but they're just kind of random. They're not kind of random, they're totally random. And what you'll notice is that they're in a few different shades. We have white ones, we have solid blue, we have gray, which is just a mixture of black and white. And then we have some light blue ones, which are a mixture of blue and white. And so we're going to go back and forth between making different shades from white to light blue to medium blue to dark blue and black. And we're going to just kind of alternate those randomly to get these curly cues in different shades. That sounds a whole lot more complicated than it really is. It's really pretty easy. I also have some napkins and a water jar. Make sure you have, I don't know, maybe 6 ounces of water at least to clean your brushes. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet a medium brush. And a lot of the background I'm just going to do with a medium brush. And it could be round or flat. I'm using a flat. And so basically, we can start with any color. I'm going to just take this opportunity to mix some, though. I'm going to take a little bit of my white and a little bit of my blue, and I'm just going to make a little amount that's a light blue. I always mix colors in just a little amount at a time so that I don't waste all my paint. So I'll just have a little bit amount of combination of white and blue, like that, and it's just kind of off to one side. Then I'm also going to make a combination of blue and black. And I used my dirty brush, so it's going to be a combination of blue and black, but it has a little white in it from what I stirred before. I'm just creating different shades of blue. So one shade's mixed with a little white, one shade's mixed with a little black and a little bit of white. And that just gives me different shades of blue. This one's pretty dark to see on the camera, but that's the general idea. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll have 5 different options when we swirl on our swirls. We'll have black, blue, blue, white, and white. All right, so I'm going to clean my brush. Actually, I could just start with that first color that I just made. And basically, we're just going to cover the whole background in swirls. And this is actually most of the painting. The snowman is pretty easy, and all of it's not difficult, but we're just going to start anywhere, and we're going to make a swirl and put it anywhere you want. You don't have to put it in the same place I do. I think what I'm going to do, since I have this color on my brush, I'm going to go ahead and put some swirls so I know approximately where I'm going to work them. And it's just random. It's just random. There's going to be a lot going on right here. That'll be a good place for the snowman. And I haven't even cleaned my brush yet. I'm just using the same color just to put kind of a baseline idea of where I'm going to be putting swirls. And then I'll build from there. That was kind of fun. This color looks like denim, old denim. It's funny, I have blue jeans at home, but this particular exact shade reminds me of old, like 70s denim for some reason. I don't know how they make their denim different now. It definitely looks like a retro denim color. Reminds me of every pair of Levi's and denim purse, denim jacket I ever had way back when. I'm just giving mine another coat just to make it kind of fill in any bare spots that I had. I'm going to continue, and if you're not where I am, it's okay. This will just take us a long while, and so we'll just relax and enjoy it, right? I'm going to pick up white for my next one, although I probably don't have to do that yet. It's really random. Pick up whatever color you want next of those 5. The white, the blue, the black, the light blue, and the dark blue. We're going to use all of those to build on our swirls. And you can just do it intuitively. And what I mean by that is, whether you choose to build on the inside of the swirl or the outside, it's really up to you. But I am overlapping a bit just to get those nice blended combinations of color by overlapping just a bit. Plus, it's easy. And if you want to mute and play music where you are, please, by all means, because music is very relaxing and it's great for painting. So I used white, and then I'm going to also use that light blue that I used. And whenever it is the right time for you to switch, go ahead, and I would recommend cleaning your brush just so you get some pure colors if you want them. And you can switch at any time, go to the next color. And when your paint starts to feel a little dry, go ahead and add a drop or 2 of water each time and stir that in, and that will really help keep your paints smooth. Once again, I'm overlapping a little bit. There's something very zen-like about this painting. And when your swirls start to overlap with each other, you'll just have to make decisions on which one wins, which color wins, what wins the race. Not that I'm racing, I'm just relaxing and enjoying the swirls.
I love the pizza box. Oh my God.
That
is so neat. Yeah, I was really impressed. That's what I'm using. Very impressed with that.
It was kind of funny. I kept thinking, what am I, people want easels. In the summer when we were doing it, people kept asking for easels. And I can't remember what we were putting them in. It wasn't the pizza box. Oh no, it was the pizza box, but I hadn't figured out how to turn it into an easel. And then one day I was really frustrated just thinking about it. And then I went, oh my gosh, this is so easy. All you have to do is turn it inside out. Why didn't I think of that earlier?
Yeah, no, it's a great idea. And I think it's a great idea too. I like to go to Hudson Gardens, and
nice.
Instead of schlepping everything with me, it's actually easier with the pizza box because I can put everything in there.
Nice. Yeah, the pizza box is great, and that was just because they were cheap. Yeah, I was looking for a cheap way to store everything.
Yeah, no, great idea.
Thanks.
Yes, and this is very Zen-like. I like this. The swirls.
Except for the stiff brushes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't believe what people are charging for the kits. And, I know people will come in here and paint and they pay between 25 and 40 for a class. But I couldn't see charging that much for a Zoom class.
Right.
So I just, try to make it as inexpensive as I could.
Yeah. Are you getting a lot of people for January, I hope?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
But, it is what it is.
Yeah. Of course, they might sign up at the last minute too.
I don't know. I think a lot of our business were, people who well, let me just back up. We had a loyal following of people who wanted to paint. But then I think the 90% of our customers are people who wanted to drink and laugh with their friends.
Yeah, true.
So they're just really, it's not really so much the, yeah. But in December, we had a lot of people in December because we had the corporations that were looking for a place, some way to have a team building before the end of the year. So we did have a business in December.
Oh,
and that was great. And I'm going to keep my expectations low until we can open again.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and we have a lease that goes until August of 2022. So we're going to make the best of it. And
yeah,
my husband has a good job, so
I know, this is just, I don't know, you don't even know what to say.
I think we talked about this in person when you were here. I just keep telling myself it's not personal, the whole world is going through this.
Oh yeah.
And I'm really very blessed. Yeah. I drive by these homeless people every day, and there's so many of them right now. It's so sad.
Yeah.
And I just, every time I see them, my heart breaks for them, and I'm really grateful that I have what I have. So.
Yeah.
So if my husband has to pay the bills until we reopen, he has to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And I just consider this my second home.
Yeah, good distraction.
Yeah. I haven't had time to be bored yet. That's a great thing.
Yeah. I mean, the schools are, it's a mess.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah, the one working on his master's, he picked a good time to be in a master's program. There's not a whole lot of distractions right now.
Right. So does he does it from home?
Yeah.
Okay.
And his girlfriend works from home too, so
Oh, okay.
yeah. In other words, his life probably wouldn't be a whole lot different even if it wasn't a pandemic, just because he'd be home studying.
Right.
And right here at the intersection of I-25 and Hampden, there used to be, I would say, for the past few years, there's always one or two homeless people here hanging out. And now, now I would say there's 4 or 5 every day on one
really?
intersection. It's just so sad.
Yeah. That's not going to get any better.
No, it's horrible.
How are the businesses doing that are like right next door to you?
Well, Wahoo's went out of business almost immediately.
Oh, they're
So
closed?
yeah,
They're
they've been closed. I mean, we had to close, I think, in
Oh, I didn't know that.
mid-March, and then I think like maybe late April, early May, they closed. And I did talk to them on the phone because I wanted to ask them some questions about their lease and what they were doing. And they said that their lease was going to be up in December anyway, and they just couldn't see being open when there were no customers, which makes sense. I mean, if I were in this for the money, just money, I would probably make similar decisions, but I truly love what I'm doing, and so.
Right. Now, don't they have one on Colorado Boulevard?
Yeah, they have one on Colorado Boulevard, and that one's still open.
Oh, okay. Oh, no.
I'm switching to a small brush just to put in more detail on mine.
Yeah, I kind of like the small brush. I just feel there's a little more control.
Yeah.
Of course, now it'll take me forever to do this, but
yeah,
that's okay.
What the heck? Where else are we going to go, right?
Yeah, I get nowhere.
There was an older woman that was coming in here right up until I closed from the pandemic, and she didn't seem to be real worried. She was going all over the place. I mean, she was wearing a mask, but she didn't hesitate to go everywhere she wanted to go. I hope she's okay. Yeah, it was actually a relief when the governor said, go ahead and close down.
Yeah.
Not financially, but in other ways, it was a big relief.
Right.
But some of the folks that I had in here just before I closed, I mean, everybody was great. They were so nice. But some of them were travelers, and they're like, oh, there's nothing else to do in Denver. And here it was open, and was happy for their business, but I feel like saying, well, there's a reason why nothing's open. You know that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We've always, I mean, I've been really careful, even when we were open. I take everyone's temperature. I was taking everyone's temperature before they sat down, and then had the table spread out. And then even though I was allowed to have up to 15 people in here when it was at 25%, I still only had 5 or less. And I spread them around the room.
Yeah.
Then I asked them to put hand sanitizer on when they came in, and everything's disposable aprons, disposable, tablecloths, everything was disposable almost, not the easels. But I was being really careful, but I was still nervous.
No, yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah.
And now I understand that they're going to change because the level went down to orange, that some businesses are going to reopen.
Yeah.
But I don't really know where, if that includes Denver.
Now they're saying like the gyms can have more people, and I think they're thinking about again doing indoor dining. But mark my words, because of this new strain,
Yeah.
it'll change. Because this new strain is just hitting us.
I mean, what people don't realize is the numbers are based on, how many people are in the hospital, in ICUs. It's not what's safe and what's not safe. It's, how many people can we take care of when they do get sick? Right.
And luckily, I listen to the numbers every night. It's bad, but it's not horrible, of course, like California.
Right.
But again, if this new strain starts in, and now it's hitting it hit here first, and now if it starts hitting other states, forget it. I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I'm not anxious to reopen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible when, it's, here we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do we want to pay the bills, or do we want to be safe? And
Right.
it's everywhere. It's every small business owner across the country. Nobody wants to be at risk.
Oh no.
I didn't want to be open when I was open, but somehow you got to pay the rent. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true.
How long have you been in business at this place?
So our the studio's been open since 2012, and I bought it 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And then we have a 5-year lease. It never, things were great when we signed our lease. This, who in their wildest dreams would think about something like this happening?
Oh, right. Oh, listen, I remember coming to your place. It was wall-to-wall people.
Right.
I mean, I came early just to find a seat.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't always like that. In 2017 was our best year. And then, it had, even last year, it was down a little. But that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully things will get better, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was starting to plan, just try to make plans for after the pandemic, just so that I could be less depressed about it. So I was trying to plan a trip, for later in 2021. And then one of the friends I want to go visit said, you're kidding yourself if you think it's going to be okay by summer. And I think she's right. I think most of the year is going to be shot again, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I didn't get too excited over New Year's Eve. I was like, okay.
Yeah. I have to keep comparing, you know, I like to watch documentaries and I like historical fiction. And as long as I remember, you know, things were so much worse in other crises in American history or even in world history. You know, I mean, yeah, this is terrible for a lot of people. There are people who don't have food. I'm not one of them. I'm fortunate that way. And a lot of my friends are more fortunate that way. So I just have to keep perspective, like, you know,
Right.
there's some people really hurting,
Right.
but it's not like we're in a war and, you know,
Right.
we got our legs blown off or something. And I'm not living in a, you know, refugee camp or.
I know.
There are little white dots in the painting kind of all over.
Okay.
And so whenever you get to that point,
Okay.
that's what I'm doing. I'm putting in some dots.
Oh, okay.
You can put in as many or as few as you want. And you can put them randomly or you can put them in an order. It's really up to you.
You get a lot of hits on YouTube?
No, not yet. We have 91, I have 91 followers. I'd say we, but there's no we, it's just me here. Which isn't bad. You need to have over 1,000 to really, like, you know, show up in a search or anything. But, you know, I was watching something today where someone had a very popular YouTube station, and they said that they recorded, I don't know, hundreds of videos over 2 years until they really had a following. So, you know,
yeah, I'm
why
sure
not? I'll just stay with it and see what happens. And the people who do use it, you know, have told me that they are really grateful. They like it.
Oh, I really like it. Yeah. No, I go into it.
Thanks. They're not very, you know, I mean, they're not professional by any stretch. But
yeah,
well,
I
it's
mean,
something.
I would say that a lot of them that I go into aren't that professional. You know, they just, especially like the ones, you know, I like the people that have bought stuff from Amazon and their
Okay, and then
Amazon,
open their boxes.
well, they're Amazon users. I mean, oh my gosh, they'll say, you know, the best 20 items you can buy for under $5 and stuff. I mean, you know, and they're not, you know, they're not professional. They're actually young kids.
I haven't seen those. I'll have to check that out. I
Yeah,
like the travel ones. Since I can't travel, I just
yeah.
dream. But I love the travel ones.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh my
There's
gosh.
this young couple, young married couple, Kate and Nate. Yeah, Nate and Cara. And they've traveled to 100 countries in 4 years. And they do it pretty much for free. They didn't have any money and they, you know, I mean, you hear about those people who do it, you know, start out with a few $1,000s and then they figure out how to get things for free after that. And they just blow my mind. And I was just watching one today where they went to their 100th country.
Wow.
And they, you know, they started it just as a thing, like, you know, we're young, we don't have kids. This would be an adventure. It's risky. You know, we don't have much money. I mean, they lived in an apartment and they were just, you know, you've read those books or heard about people who do that, right? And they figure it out as they go. And now, 4 years later, they started their own travel company.
Oh, wow.
Pretty inspiring.
Yeah.
There's this other guy that I really like too, Peter Santinello. And he travels, he's really interesting. He travels to countries and places where a lot of people would be afraid. And then he gets to know the people. Just, you know, more or less, he wants to show that everyone's human and that we all are more alike than different. And so he goes to some of the roughest neighborhoods in the world. And he is fascinating.
See, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, his videos are great. I don't know how many more he's going to make. It's interesting. He said he grew up in Vermont, and he, grew up in a very white bubble. And he said that he just wanted to learn about the world and people who didn't look like him. So he went to live with a family in the Ukraine so he could learn Russian. And it was such a great experience that he ended up staying in Ukraine for 4 years. He met his wife there. And then he's traveled to Pakistan and India and what else? Saudi Arabia. I can't remember all the countries he's been to, but what an interesting guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit and relax and drink my tea.
Okay. I'm still swirling.
Sorry?
I said I'm still swirling.
Yeah, swirl away. Swirl all you want.
I like this swirling.
It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So for the snowman, of course, for the bottom, I'm going to actually, hold on one second. Let me just pull this out. I want to be able to get to the very bottom easily. All right. So for the bottom of the snowman, let me just say, I'm not putting him right in the center. He's an off-center snowman. And
Okay.
in general, just when you're painting anything that's natural or nature inspired, it's a good idea to not have it in the center.
Okay.
Because nature is not perfect, right?
Right.
So I'm going to put my snowman right here, and coincidentally, the swirls tend to be in a nice position for that too. So I'm going to put mine off center, and I'm going to go ahead and just make a big bottom ball for his bottom. And if your paint is still wet and any blue swirls into it, even better. I'm putting on pure white, but I'm going to end up adding shadows and stuff. So
okay.
That's fine. Now, and I would say this is about as big on mine. I have a 16 by 20. This is about as big as a grapefruit, but you have a smaller canvas, so you'll have to, kind of figure that out.
Okay.
And an easy way to make a round circle when you don't have a template is just go right in the center of, where you can imagine your circle to be, and then slowly circle out.
Oh, okay.
Real slow. And then you'll keep your circle shape as it expands because you have muscle memory. It's easier than just trying to draw one and filling it in.
Okay.
And then the great thing about a snowman is no snowman is perfect. So if you don't have a perfect circle, then we'll just say that was deliberate. And when I paint the next one, it's going to be smaller than the first one.
Okay.
It's going to be medium size. And then the head is, of course, the smallest. And if you're not sure if your proportions are right, then you could step back about 5 feet and take a look at it, you know, from across the room, and you'll have a better idea if those proportions are right for small, medium, and large. I'm going to have my medium one overlap the top of the big one a little bit.
Okay, wow.
You can always make them bigger. It's hard to make them smaller. So the interesting thing about the snowman, and I don't know if you can see it on this one very well, but if you look really close, if you look from far away, he just looks white. But if you look up close, you'll notice that this side is slightly pink on the left side of the snowman. And on the right side of the snowman, it's slightly blue.
Okay.
And the reason for that is when the sunlight is hitting one side, it gives it a little bit of a pink glow. Bob Ross did that a lot in his mountains, and that's how they looked more three-dimensional. So I'm going to take a little bit of my white and then the tiniest amount possible of my red, just the tiniest amount I can get on my brush, and just make the palest, it's such a little amount because that red is powerful, just the palest amount, just the palest pink I can possibly make. And then I'm going to dab it. This is called stippling when you dab like this on one side of the snowman. It doesn't matter if you pick the left side or the right side, but that's the sunny side. If you pick the other side, that's fine. Just keep it consistent. So if I put pink on this side, then it has to be in that ball and that ball too. And so I'm going to tap on pink on the right side, pardon me, on the left side of mine. If you do the right side, just keep it consistent all the way up.
Okay.
And that just, it's such a pale pink. From a distance, you won't even notice it. And then we're going to do the same thing with light blue. We're going to make a real pale light blue, white, and just a dab of blue, a tiny, tiny bit of blue. And then we'll tap that on the right side. And it just gives the snow a little bit of dimension when we tap it rather than stroke it on. But if you want to brush it on, that's okay too. I like to tap because it just makes the snowman look a little more, you know, like somebody's been rolling their hands on it. Maybe it picked up a little grass or slightly imperfect. It just kind of adds to the texture of it. But if that's too tedious, just go ahead and brush it on. That's fine. I'm not drawing a line down the middle or anything. Then I'm going to clean my brush. So you can see one side has a little blue in it, little blue tint. That's the shady side. One side has a little pink tint, and that's the sunny side.
Okay.
And then I clean my brush. And then with that same brush, I'm going to just pop on some stark white. It's not mixed with anything. And I'm just going to pop around in the center of each ball just to break it up so it doesn't look like there's a line there. And excuse me, since that's the brightest white, it'll help make this look more round, more three-dimensional, because you have all three shades in it. I can tell up close what I did, but from a distance, it just looks like white.
Okay.
And then I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to have to be careful not to touch my snowman while he's wet.
Okay.
He or she. But what I can do is I can start with his hat. And the way I'm going to do that to get a nice straight line is I'm going to, I dip my tiny brush in black, and I'm going to set my finger, my pinky finger, on the canvas so that I can keep my hand more steady. And you can always start with a small hat and then make it bigger. But again, it's hard to make something smaller. Of course, don't make it as wide as his head or else it would fall off, right? It has to be a little, it's going to be a rectangle, and it has to be a little less wide than his head from side to side. And then I'm going to fill it in with black. But keeping my little pinky there really helps keep it steady. He's got a pretty tall hat on the original, so I'm going to make mine a little taller now. And then the bottom of the hat has the brim, which is basically just another rectangle that is just slightly less wide than the width of the head. Or maybe it's the same, but it's just a little wider than the original rectangle that we made. I can't remember the last time I saw anybody in a top hat.
Yeah, it's been a while.
My father-in-law died in 2002, I think, and he used to have a lot of hats.
Oh, really?
He was an interesting guy. He liked to be dressed up. He was a salesman, so he liked to look sharp. And then since we have black on our brush, after you do your hat, you can go ahead and put on eyes and a smile and buttons. If you want black, I'm going to use black, to make it like coal. But if you want to, decorate his face differently, do whatever you want to do. But I'm just going to do black for coal and a black smile for pebbles, I guess. And then again, I'm going to do black buttons on mine, but like I said, do whatever you want. I haven't seen coal in a while either. I guess charcoal. I guess there's charcoal for barbecues.
Yeah.
We don't eat meat, so we don't barbecue very much.
Oh,
Yeah, most people have charcoal in their garage probably.
yeah. Okay. Come on. Come on. Go outside. Go, go, go.
Ready to do arms?
Yeah.
Okay, so for his arms, I'm just gonna, again, I'm for all of the detail on the snowman, I'm taking a small brush and I'm gonna have them come up a little higher than midline. And then not on the very outside, just come in a little bit. But here's the thing, for a stick, you wanna keep your arm wiggly. And then on mine, I'm just gonna put on 3 fingers. Kind of looks like a chicken foot, but you can do however you want it. But I just recommend the wiggly because it looks more like a stick and not perfect. And then on this one, he has 2 arms up, like he's saying, hello, welcome. You could do it like that, or you could have one down, like he's waving, however you want to do it.
Okay. Okay.
And on this one, there's also this little tiny line that just goes across like a little curve. So it looks like the stick is sticking out of a hole or a depressed area, recessed area. And after we put on the decorations on the hat, we have to make red and green for that. We have to use red and green. Then we can come back with brown, because red and green make brown, and we can put a second layer over the stick of brown.
Okay.
Or it's up to you, or you could go over it with just a little bit of white to make it a gray stick. Or you could do all three, whatever you want. I think I might just do all three. It just gives the stick a little more character that way. We're going to have to be careful when we put on our scarf so we don't mess up the arms. So it's slow and careful. And if it helps to lay your painting down, whatever helps. I'm going to again steady my hand with my pinky. And I'm just going to make a line across like a dog collar, but then I'm going to make it thicker. And then I'm going to make it come out a little bit on each side in a little curve. And this red is pretty transparent, so it's going to need more than one layer. And sometimes it helps to add a little bit of white to your red, not enough to change the color to pink, but just a little tiny bit to, I'm mixing in just a drop of white into my red. And it just gives a little more body because red is more transparent and white is more opaque. So if I add just the tiniest amount of white, it just gives my red a little more body. And it goes on a little thicker. I'm still going to need to come back and put on another layer though. But that little bit of white in it does help. And then on this one, this is kind of tricky, but it has one part of that scarf behind that arm. So I have to go right down to it and then come out on the other side and come down. That might be a little tricky, but if you end up getting a little brown or black in there, it's not going to hurt your scarf. And then from this area where the other one came out, then there's another one that comes down in front. And that one I'm going to make a little thicker and a little longer. And like I said, we're going to have to come back in and add another layer of that red just so that it's solid. It just needs 2 coats. Now my guy, his hat is pretty dry, except for in a couple places. I'm going to go ahead and put on a layer of that band on his hat And it's gonna, you know, some of that black's gonna show through, but I'm gonna come back later and put another layer of that red. And then, you know, it'll when this one dries, it'll build up and be more solid. But if I put a second coat on now, it doesn't stick, it's too wet. And there are berries on that hat, but again, I'm gonna have to wait till that band is drier. Actually, I want to make that a little thicker before I can stick berries on it. I'm not going to clean my brush yet because with this little amount of red that I have on my brush, I can take a little bit of my yellow, mix a little bit of red with a little bit of yellow and make an orange. And I'm going to err on the redder side of orange so it shows up nice. So I've got orange on my brush. I'm going to use my pinky to steady my hand again. And then I'm just going to touch down in the middle with that orange. And then I'm going to pull to one side with my hand putting less pressure on as I go. Because I want the tip of that carrot nose to be pointier. It gets smaller. And I'm going to clean my brush. Now he looks happy.
Yes.
It's always a good thing when you have a nose.
Yeah. Always. Nice.
I don't know if you remember how to do a holly leaf from the ornament class.
No, I was so involved in the Santa.
Yeah, no worries. I'll show you. Basically, we're going to make green. Just add a little yellow to a little blue to make green.
Okay.
We don't need much of it. It's just a tiny, tiny bit. And off the side of our snowman's hat, we're going to paint a little leaf, a couple of leaves. So it's, you go out and then curve in, then curve in. This one is out, then curve in, and then attach them at the end. It's basically that it's like a serrated knife. There's serrated leaves on a holly.
Okay.
It's kind of like there's some ivy like that. So it's out in a curve and then in a curve, then in. So it's in. I can show you on paper, actually, because that's hard to see.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I'll do it on a napkin.
Okay.
So basically, the shape of the leaf is you start at a point and then you go out in a curve and then curve in and end it like that, like a smile, and then another one that way. It's basically just a series of smiles. And then curve in and then curve this one in.
Okay.
And then you just fill it in with green, not blue. I just randomly picked up blue, but fill it in
Right.
with green. And then just make sure each one of those edges comes to a point.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, okay.
And then if you really want to get fancy and you have good hand control and a small brush, you can always go in and put a line through the center, you know, and little lines going up through the leaves. But it's really not necessary. I don't even know if mine's gonna look good, so I might just blend it in. But if you're able to do that, go for it. Little veins in it, in the leaves. My red scarf is still really wet, and so is the red hat. This is a good time to wave it around. Oops. When your red hat band is dry enough, you can try putting more red paint on top of it. Or when your scarf is dry enough, you can try putting another coat of red paint on it. But if it's not dry enough, it won't let it. It won't stick. Acrylic paint dries pretty fast, but it does not like to be rushed. After we do, you know, we are able to put another coat on. Those berries, those red berries, there's just one in a circle, little circle of a berry, and then two, and then another one next to it. They usually come in clumps of 3. And again, those are probably not gonna look good until you put a second coat of them on it.
Okay.
I forgot to say this, but I think you know anyway. You don't have to make your scarf in red. Not all snowmen have Christmas colors. You know, it could have been any color combination you wanted. I think the red is nice. It really jumps off the canvas.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to do the holly, if you don't want to make it a Christmassy painting, you don't have to. So later on, I might come in and give them one more coat of red, maybe when it's dry. I'm going to take a tiny, tiny brush though, and put just the tiniest amount of black on my brush and just come up through the tips of that red scarf to make a little fringe at the bottom. I'm just pulling up, just kind of flicking up at the base of that scarf, and it's just dividing the ends of that scarf into lines.
Yeah, that's nice.
And then you can also, if you want, you can kind of outline the little rounded square that those both sides of that scarf come out of. That's, you know, really a lot of detail. You don't have to do that. That just makes it look like a knot. Oh, and I did tell you that once we made that green, I can just pick up a tiny amount of green, of red, mix it into the green, and I'll have brown. Red plus green equals brown. And then that way, with a little bit of brown, I can go over that stick one more time, and it'll just look a little more natural because it'll have some brown in it too, the arm sticks. It's not necessary to have all this detail, but if you want it, you know, you can. I don't even know if anyone could tell that that's brown, but I know.
Yeah.
Did you grow up in this area?
Yeah, I'm from Denver.
Nice.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of people who can say that.
No, that's for sure.
When I was growing up in Michigan, there's more trees there and they're bigger. And so there are sticks everywhere. Here, like when we went camping with the kids, it was hard to find a stick for marshmallows.
Really?
Well, I mean, a little harder.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we went up north a lot, and the northern woods are just really, really dense with trees.
Yeah, I bet it's
Grand Lake
beautiful.
reminded me of northern Michigan.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool place.
Yeah, northern Michigan has lots of lakes, lots and lots of forest.
Do you miss that?
Yeah, but you know, I like it when I go to Grand Lake. We haven't been there in years though.
That's where they had the fires there, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Colorado is definitely home though. We've been here 30 years, so it's home. We raised our kids here. We go back to Michigan once a year. We didn't this year though because of COVID, and that's hard. Both of our mothers are there, and all of our sibs. Well, most of our sibs are there. So that was tough not going back this year.
Yeah, maybe next year, huh?
Well, my mother-in-law is 99.
Wow.
So we're hoping she'll survive this pandemic and that we'll have a 100th birthday party in September.
And she's in Michigan?
Yeah.
Okay. Is she in a nursing home?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they were okay, hopefully?
My brother-in-law and sister-in-law pulled her out, and she stayed with them for 6 months. But she just went back in. It kind of got old for them, and more importantly, she needed more care than they could give her at home.
Right.
So she just went back, and since she's been back, she's been in quarantine the whole time. And their policy is if someone there gets it, then everybody goes in quarantine for 2 weeks, meaning that they can't have any visitors. Excuse me. And since she's been back, you know, first there was a 2-week quarantine, and then before that ended, then somebody else got it, and now a third person. And so they just keep upping the you know, increasing the dates for the quarantine. So it's really sad. It's very sad. But she's in a very nice place. It's you know, if she has to be in a nursing home, she's in about the best in town. So
That's good.
yeah, yeah, it's really a lovely place with lovely people. So
Well, hopefully when this whole thing is over, they'll know to take better care of people in nursing homes.
yeah, it's one of those systems that I was talking about, like you know, institutional things that really, you know, we learn from this pandemic.
Right. I mean, that's, I guess, is the silver lining.
Yeah. And, you know, the way that other countries are handling things, you know, we can learn a lot from all this.
Oh, yeah.
Well, anyway, this painting,
Thank
that's
you.
all there
This
is
has
to
been
teach.
great.
How did yours turn out?
Well, I mean, good. I'm still on the swirls, actually. I did the snowman, but
You didn't do any of the snowman yet?
yeah, I did the snowman, but I didn't do the details. So tomorrow I'll do the details, but I wrote everything down that you said. So
Nice.
yeah, no, it was great. And actually my snowman came out good. It didn't come out white though. It's more on the, I don't know, grayish side, and I'll fill it in with white. I mean, I'll really work on this tomorrow.
It may be that your brushes weren't clean.
Yeah, it could be, but it's okay. I mean, it blends in, so you know,
Nice.
it's not standing out like yours, you know. And I'll, you know, do all the eyes and the scarf and everything tomorrow. And I did the hat. The hat came out really good. So
Nice. I want
yeah.
to show you one optional thing if you want to. This painting doesn't have it, but
Okay.
if you ever want to make something look alive, either an animal or a person, or in this case, a snowman, the way you put life into it is you just, on the black dots, you just put a couple little tiny white dots.
Oh,
And that
okay.
just breathes life into anything
Okay.
inanimate.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Now he looks
Yeah,
alive,
okay.
and this one looks
Yeah.
like a snowman.
Yes. Well, thank you, Nancy. I feel like I got a private lesson here.
Well, I enjoyed it too. Thank you. And then I just want to show you too, and you probably already know this, you can sign it. I'm going to sign mine with a tiny brush. I'm going to just put it in red in the corner.
Okay.
I always do. I just put my initials in there. And you
Do
can
you-
sign yours anywhere you want. Some people put the date that they painted
Okay.
on their paintings, on the back of their paintings, so that they can, you know, watch how they progress as a painter.
So when you sign yours, do you always usually do it with red?
I do. It's just because it usually provides some contrast so you can see it.
Okay. Yeah.
But it really doesn't make any difference.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Whatever you want. Yeah, it's been fun painting with you again.
Yes,
And
it was fun. Thank you. And I hope to see you soon because, like I said, you're my new social life. So
that's a lot of pressure. I hope I live up to it.
no, you're great. You're absolutely great. So
Well, thanks. I think you are too, and it's fun painting with you.
yeah,
So
thank you.
until we paint again.
Yes, and Happy New Year and thank you.
Thank you to you too. Happy New Year.
Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.